astrology? Why do you think it's still relevant?
Today's human wants to know purpose of their life.
When it comes to making these big decisions like marriage, should you always turn to astrology?
I suggest that one must. People who have been in 20 years of marriage are coming for separation and divorces.
People say that there is a certain number of guns that have to match when you're getting married.
It has no relevance.
Astrology is maybe a placebo effect.
Jaisi drishti, vaisi srishti.
Hello and welcome to another episode where we sit down with experts to really unpack and decode the various aspects of love, relationships, dating and marriage. Astrology has been part of our culture for centuries. But what is it really about love and marriage that makes people specifically turn to astrology for answers? And does it even have the answers? To help us understand this better, today we are pleased to have with us astrologer Ritu Singh.
Namaste. I am an astropsychologist and I have been into counseling from last almost 2 decades now. My job, my work and my passion comes where I have this knack, this experience and this passion to guide people into empowering themselves using astrology as a tool.
Even though we live in a modern society, but still astrology is something that we believe at this time. Why do you think it's still relevant in this day and age?
Today's human wants to know purpose of their life. They want to know where their life is going and they are action oriented. And that's the beauty of astrology, because astrology can guide you. What's the purpose of life? Where is it perhaps the lessons that need to be learned? What is the limitation that the person feels and how that they can heal that part, because current life is equally important.
So mostly people turn to astrology when they're struggling to find a partner. But can astrology even help us understand why are we facing these struggles and when we would actually find someone?
Yes, of course. An able astrologer, a person who's experienced into this science and art, they can look at the birth chart of a person. The birth chart instantly tells a theme of a person's life. And when we talk about when something is going to happen, we are ready to look at something called the transit. When a planet will be transiting in a certain house of love and marriage, which will unfold the kind of life, the relationship. So astrology can really help there to make a person understand these aspects about their life.
When it comes to making these big decisions before you are getting married to somebody, you should match your kundlis, or can you let it be?
There are all kinds of people with different belief systems and to each their own. But if you have that opportunity, then I suggest that one must. Because human being wants to be in charge. Jaisi drishti, vaisi srishti. Your point of view creates your reality. So this whole effort of self-education and empowerment is about changing and embracing more perspectives that are more helpful for you. So astrology definitely helps there.
I've also seen some people who've been in long-term relationships. If you are anyway in a long-term relationship, then you don't need to match your kundlis or go to an astrologer, because the fact that you've lasted this long shows that you're already compatible. Is that true?
People who have been in 20 years of marriage are coming for separation and divorces. Some point of time, something can brew in those houses if the placement in the birth chart and the transit is a certain way in the 5th house, the 7th house, and the planet will manifest itself in that house.
So does that mean when a person is trying to find someone, regardless of the efforts, they wouldn't be able to find anybody?
When we are looking at relationships and marriage, we are looking at 5th house, we are looking at 7th house. 5th house being the house of love, romance, and 7th house being the house of relationships, alliances, partnerships. And then also I will be looking at when those planets or that energy ball of 5th house, 7th house is going to explode into something very beautiful or something really tragic. So yes, the trajectory, the charts, the houses will tell the story.
I would also want to know, people say that there is a certain number of guns that have to match when you're getting married. What if we overlook it? We're like, okay, the guns are not matching, but fine. Like, does that transition into something bad later on in life?
Gunas look into just the moon sign of a person. It has no relevance. What is relevant again is when we are talking about astropersonality of a person, which is the position of Sun, Mercury and Moon, because Sun being the soul, ego part, and Mercury being the mind and Moon being the emotions, the heart. That will create a kind of personality of a person, and it has 186 permutation combinations, the astro personality. These are the things we have to look into, and along with that, we can also look into whether the person is born on a full moon or an amavasya.
Nowadays, we hear this so often that some people say, okay, there are certain signs that are not compatible at all. But how much weight should we give to certain astrological compatibilities when we are looking for somebody in the real world?
Yes, it is true that each sign exhibits certain qualities and traits. But when we are looking at compatibility, will totally in its entirety will depend upon how the 7th house is, how the 5th house is, and another thing, is there a conjunction of Venus and Mars in someone's chart? Because if that is, then the alarm rings. So we are looking at these things and not whether the person is a Leo, the person is an Aquarian. That is not going to count for when it comes to an alliance.
Can love and efforts really reduce the impact of the stars?
At an intellectual level, at a spiritual level, an emotional level, it feels good to know that love and wisdom can change things. But that we are hoping for from both the people. The two people that come together and have to go through certain challenges, hardships at a certain point of time. Counseling will help them. Yoga, meditation will help them. So yes, at a later stage, they come back, they consult, guidance, counseling, hope, because the human race is a hopeful species, and that's what we must do. Of course, keeping in mind that the facts have to be placed in a way which doesn't scar them. At the same time, it gives them some food for thought, and where the preparedness can be there.
You say that it will manifest itself, but some people also say that astrology is maybe a placebo effect.
People who are or who have devoted their lives into yoga, kriya and meditative practices, they have been able to experience some shift within themselves, because that shift is what is seen in the chart too. When a person's 9th house, when a person's 8th house, which is a very spontaneous kind of a house, is 8th house, miracles happen. Good luck is also a part of these two houses. So when they happen, and like you said, that people think that it is our faith or we have manifested this, all that comes as a part of the 8th house and 9th house, that wow, they will have some kind of a comeback heroic story to tell.
So I would want to ask, what role did astrology play in you finding your husband and your marriage life?
So if you'll ask me my story, then it'll all look like a straight from a movie or unreal. But during my time, there were no charts which were read or seen for compatibility. So I met my husband, midair. So and to him also, as if by magic, a force told him in the ear that she's going to be the one. And he tells me later that he saw me as a bride sitting in the aircraft. So that's how it rolled out for us. Yes, we've had our share of challenges, and it's only later on when I, dived deep into astrology that yes, these are the phases that I could be facing. This is the phase that I am going through these kind of emotions or turmoil. So when even one person out of the two understands this because of the nature of mind that we have and resort to, as I said, practices, yoga, sadhana, and meditation, all of it starts to feel very light. Everyone goes through challenges. Who doesn't? But if I know that this is going to be my tough period of my life, I'm not going to, jump right into the confrontation, into the fire and say, okay, now what's going on? I will step back. And that's what my effort and practice has been in my relationship.
Thank you so much. This was really enlightening and eye-opening, and I got to learn so much. Thank you for watching. If you really liked the video, don't miss to hit the subscribe button. And also let us know in the comments what other topics would you love to hear an expert's take on. Bye-bye.